Why am I filming at nighttime, you might ask? Well, we're gonna go for a night drive, and there's a specific reason why. Alright guys, so I'm outside of the Tucson, and I just mentioned it's nighttime, and the reason why I'm outside is just to give you guys a comparison video like I always do, because obviously there's new goodies going on to this car. So, this is a 2020 Tucson SEL model. It is a model that is basically a step down right from the Sport. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because the model above it, the Sport on up, actually gives you full LED headlights. So I'm showing you guys this one. And this is a gorgeous headlight. You have your little, you have your accessory parking light, your daytime running light, which is actually a full LED, and then your main headlight, which is inside the projector. But as you can see, this doesn't match that. This is a nice crisp white. This isn't. And furthermore, as nice as this could be better. High beams on the inside, turn signal. But anyways, this is the important piece, and we're gonna show you the big difference. Alright, so I'm leaving my apartment complex, as you guys are already probably familiar with from seeing other bulbs. Lights are off, so I just turned them back on. And the video, it's hard to tell, but the lights actually do a pretty good job of getting pretty far lengths. So there's a fence at the end of this particular driveway, and it hits all the way back there from the beginning. So as you can see, we're getting closer to it, and you can see that. So again, not bad, but I really want to demonstrate this so that way you guys have a clear indicator of the before and after. So I'm gonna go to the road that I always go to test out my little, new bulb adaptions or new headlights that I throw onto the vehicle. So let's get to that real quick. Alright, so I'm coming up to that road and I'm flipping around. Got a little construction going on. So this is the last light right here before the road itself is completely dark. So turning off the lights and getting ahead. So I'm trying to get it out of the way of the light. So there you go, pure darkness, turn on the headlights. And so here you go, we're driving down the road. And as you can see, it reaches pretty far. You can already see the reflection of the yellow sign indicating the stop sign up ahead on the right hand shoulder. So again, like I said, it's not too bad. Let's see, because you can see, you can already see them reflecting on the signs all the way at the end. And then we've obviously come up to the stop signs, which the camera should be picking up now on both sides. So they're not bad, and I actually should commend Hyundai for that. They're amazing bulbs for what they are, especially considering halogens and the whole projector dome. It does an amazing job. Really, really impressive. But again, there's a little bit of clarity lacking, especially once you get into these areas where there's ambient lighting, because it gets muddled and drowned out. So you don't know where your headlights end or begin at times. So let's go ahead and change that and see the difference between these stock halogens and the aftermarket bulbs. So right off the bat, as always, A+ for presentation from Lasfit. Minimalistic, simple, but elegant. These are the new Pro HK5 bulbs, and these are specifically made for Hyundai Kia applications that use a headlight bulb that has a special fitting, which is the H7. However, if you have one of these cars, you know that the H7 in these headlight designs is kind of unique, and we'll go into that in a moment. But as always, goodies, we got some 3 sets of stickers, different colors, product manual. And so right off the bat in the center is what I'm talking about. So a lot of our H7 applications require a special type of clip in for the headlight bulb itself. And as you can see, this is the part that goes on the inside, has the 4 specific clips to make sure that the bulb does not move one bit, and then 2 little grip tabs on the outside, so when you go in, you can lock it and unlock it. Now, an adapter may seem simple enough, but take it from me, I bought in numerous of these in the aftermarket, and not one has given me the satisfaction of having the bulb be in there nice and snug. They all kind of move and shake. Lasfit to the rescue with this. Another really cool and elegant thing about this particular adapter and their LED bulbs is this. Let me show you. So here we have the Lasfit H7 bulb. Extremely nice, nothing on the top, just really bright LED strips on the sides, built-in fan, and heatsink for maximum cooling efficiency, and a nice short braided line with a plug to make sure that you're getting the ample power needed to like these bulbs. But for me, the magic is once you get these on. So I'm gonna just slowly slide it on, and immediately there's resistance at this point, and I'm gonna show you why. Using the other bulb, as you can kind of tell, there's two rubber O-rings at the bottom, ensuring two things. Water will definitely not get in, but two, a nice resistant seal, good enough that you could obviously remove the bulb if it ever, you know, went bad, but at the same time making sure that this will not have any kind of play once it's in the socket. And that's something that a lot of aftermarket bulb manufacturers don't take into account, again, because they don't sell a specific kit with their adapter. It's just a universal bulb. Figure it out. Lasfit obviously has taken that step for us. So the biggest benefit of having a setup like that, if you don't like the way the beam is shooting out of the headlight, especially if you have projector domes, it allows for you to rotate the bulb itself without having to mess with the adapter. So I can't quite do this with two hands. Oh, so as you can see, I can move this, and essentially, if you can imagine, if this bulb is inside your car and this adapter is locked in, you're just moving the way that the bulb is facing. So this way you get the optimal amount of light to shine at the road where you need it the most. So talk about efficiency. Hey guys, so before I get into the install of the bulb, there's two things I wanted to bring up. The first one is that Lasfit actually has an install video for the previous generation Tucson, and in that video they actually recommend you remove the power and ground cables plugged into the actual socket to that way have a clean connection to the bulb itself, and then wrapping it up in electrical tape. Essentially by doing that, it'll allow you to actually hide the cables inside the headlight housing and use the stock dust cover. In my video, you'll notice that I actually went with aftermarket dust covers, and I actually have the bulb, or the rear end, the fan side, exposed for better ventilation. And there's a specific reason why I did that. Specifically, I did that because this is the stock dust cover on the 2020 model. And on the previous models, they were already kind of tight, but in this particular model, it's even worse, and I'm gonna show you. As you can see, they have a lot of that packing, so much so that right here at the brim, you can see that it's already kind of bulging out. So you could remove both of these screws, take out the rear packaging, put it back together, and then reuse the stock dust cover. However, even with that, this is still pretty tight. While you could remove the rear, I'm gonna call it a cage, there's still not a lot of room in there, and just for my sake, I'd prefer the bulb to be better ventilated. So as you'll see on mine, this portion right here is actually exposed to the atmosphere. The dust cover seals everything else very nicely. And again, you could go either way. These won't be hindered by a little bit of water if you have a little bit of fear regarding that. However, you will notice that even in my install, I made sure to use electrical tape to cover the stock socket and this plug to make sure that there's no issues there. The second thing I wanted to address is that I didn't mention it in the video, but the Lasfit recommended way to install the bulb is to have the bulb inserted like so. So as you can see, this little bottom part has an edge, whereas the top, there's no edge blocking the light. So this is the best and recommended way as far as putting in the bulb to make sure that the illumination and the lights disperse properly. So again, cable to the bottom, and that way you'll notice that it'll insert like so. There is something that I mentioned where you can kind of adjust based off of the adapter that they included. Again, what I meant by that is an adjustment enough to kind of fine-tune the direction that the beam is dispersing. So if you end up installing these bulbs and they seem a little bit off, the two things that I would note is make sure that you have these inserted like so, and also make sure that it passes both of these O-rings, as you'll see in the install. Alright guys, so we're under the hood of the Tucson in the daytime now, because obviously we're going to do the install. I'm actually going to show you the driver's side install because the left side, or the passenger side, the only disclaimer is that if you have big hands, it's going to be hard. This will be in the way, so I'd recommend the easiest is having someone hold up the hood for you, so this can be seated down, or if you're doing this as a single person, the hardest way would be to remove it temporarily, but I wouldn't go that far. So showing you this, first things first, you remove the dust covers, and as you can tell, they have tons of gripping points. Simple, just grab on, twist off in the direction, pull out, and then set aside. Next is you want to unclip the bulb. So I'm gonna see if I can show you, but this is kind of a really hard process to show you. However, this is inside where the bulb's at. You're gonna basically stick your hand and same thing, just twist in the proper direction. I'm really bad at giving directional advice as far as left or right because I just did both. So one way will budge, one way will not. So once you do that, just in case you ever have an emergency and you need to reuse the stock halogens, make sure to not touch the bulb itself. The natural oils on your hands will burn out the bulb, so make sure you remove the bulb carefully. This one's in a little more of a tight area, but again, I'm trying to show you. So the adapter will look identical to the aftermarket one. Just take note of how the teeth are. So the longer ones that are a little wider apart, as you can see the way I'm holding it, are on the bottom. These shorter teeth that are closer together are on the top. So that means that when I place this adapter, I want to do it just like I have it held right here. These longer teeth down here at the bottom, these slightly smaller ones at the top. Alright, so after you put in the adapter, make sure not to over tighten it because you might break a tooth or whatnot. But you will get your aftermarket dust cover like I have here. Obviously make sure not to cover the fans. And then you're just going to literally, again, because this bulb design has these two O-rings, you're just going to slide it in, and basically I'll show you, you'll plug in the bulb and then seal it with electric tape. The last thing to note is make sure you push this in. Again, there are two O-rings, so you might get past the first O-ring and think that you're actually seated, but the downside is that there's two O-rings, so make sure you just give a little force, push it in. Sometimes you don't have it all the way in until it gets, you'll notice, and you'll get past that second O-ring. So lastly, you connect this to the connector piece. Sorry, real quick, so I'm on the passenger side because it's easier to show you. Unfortunately, on the driver's side, just because of the design, the actual original stock connector is going into the wheel well. So here, because I can actually pull it enough, you'll notice that you'll just have the plug connect into the original two prongs. There's really no way to mess up the connection. However, if when you turn on the car and the light's not lighting up, just like any electrical plug, pull it out, flip it around, replug it in, and that should be good to go. So real quick, one thing, the reason why we're inside is Hyundais, you have to actually have the car on for the headlights to go on. So if you do it wrong, you'll actually see a message popping up here that'll say like headlight low or check headlight. So in this case, if that doesn't pop up, you did it the right way. But just to show you, so they are on. See, that's on. So they're on now, and voila, we got light on both sides. All right, so the final tightening up process with the electrical tape. So as you can see, this one's got all kinds of electrical tape, so it's pretty well covered, but the back side, as you can see here, is exposed. So make sure to put some electrical tape there as well to make sure that that's covered. You know, don't leave any loose ends. And so there's the plug. There's the back of the plug covered up in electrical tape. So nice and done. Now, obviously, you just want to make sure you adjust the headlights accordingly. So the nice thing is, even with the aftermarket dust cover, you can reach the bulb. The fan will fan out, and these bulbs are waterproof, so that's nice. You'll just be able to literally rotate the bulb because the socket is in place. So now, essentially, we just have to come back out here in the dark at night, rotate the bulb ever slightly. Everything else is taken care of, so time for that nighttime comparison. All right, nighttime. We're in, waifu's already in the car, and we're gonna go in here, and so we're gonna get in the car. We'll press the brake, turn it on, and I think we have these on auto, but okay. So this is weird because see the left side's looking pretty good, right side not so much, and I'm wondering why. So this is where adjusting that headlight's gonna come in. Alright, I'm back in the car, and as you can see, obviously the huge difference. So, really funny disclaimer. Earlier in the video when I was installing the lights, I had mentioned to make sure to push the bulb in all the way because it gets past the first O-ring and you think it's fully installed, but there's two. The reason why the moment we turned on the car and the right side was looking kind of dim was that same issue. I went under the hood and I pushed it in, and lo and behold, I hadn't pushed the bulb in all the way into the socket, so that second O-ring seal had not taken effect. But now, clearly, we're on the same field. All right, coming up, doing that little U-turn, and again, this is the last light on this street before pure darkness. So I'm gonna turn off our lights, just so you can see. I'm gonna move a little bit, and we are finally out of the reach of that light, and there we go. So one thing I'm going to tell you guys is that I could see signs a lot further away than with the halogens. I could see the stop sign, which I shouldn't be able to see for a while, but with the halogen at this point, and you could go back in the video and rewind, I was only able to see the yellow cautionary sign telling you that a stop sign was approaching. From this point, or earlier, I was actually able to see the stop sign clear as day because of how far these bulbs are reaching. I could even see there's a street on the left past the stop sign. I could see the road sign. So these lights are amazingly powerful, and I love, you know, the fact that because they're in the projector dome, the cutoff is appropriate, as you can see. So hopefully we're not blinding people with excessively bright lights, but this is a obvious upgrade that I just always recommend people do, especially if you do a lot of nighttime driving. It just makes sense. We're driving into this area where there's obviously light, but unlike the contamination with halogens where you couldn't see your light as opposed to the street light, these, as you can clearly see, you could still see where your light beam, your LED beam from the headlight is, regardless of the orange street lights. So again, just another bonus. Loving the Lasfit quality on this. All right, guys, so we're home, and honestly, just to wrap up the functionality, this is what you could expect them to look like when they're on and people are looking straight at them. So one awesome thing obviously is that the hue matches the LED daytime running light. No more yellow. It looks nice and aggressive. This is the front end. And in case you were wanting to see the other side, same thing. So again, just to wrap things up, and quick disclaimer, once installing these, once the bracket's in, make sure that you push the bulb in so both O-rings can seat properly. That way you have the right light displacement, and obviously everything is a-okay. But guys, that wraps things up. I know this isn't the Veloster, this is the Tucson. This is one of the first videos that, you know, I'm treading carefully with you guys. But if you guys want to see more of the Tucson, more of, you know, this KDM life, please let me know in the comments down below. As always, keep doing you. Thanks so much for all the love and support, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. We're gonna turn on the car because I want to make sure that. Yeah, I gotta wait till the seat goes back, all the way back. I'm a big boy.